Good evening and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us today. Every week, I have the pleasure of breaking bread virtually with authors, speakers, and business entrepreneurs. And today is no exception. It gives me an absolute privilege and pleasure to warmly welcome my dear friend, my nutritionist, my health coach, Bhakti Kapoor. Welcome, Bhakti.
Thank you, Gautam. It's a pleasure to be here.
There are guests I've had, obviously, who I've known in the professional space, be it speakers and authors, but today's guest, Bhakti, is someone who has helped me personally transform. In fact, I can say has helped both me and my wife transform. For those of you who like numbers, 25 kilos between a couple in the last 4 months, I think that speaks leaps and bounds of the credibility and the value that Bhakti has made on our lives. And what more can I say than thank you, and thank you, Bhakti, for helping me live a happier and healthier life, for bringing so much value into adding more years to my life, if I may say so. And definitely abundantly grateful to you and the value that you brought me and my family.
Thank you for the kind words. Honestly, you're the hero here. I can only advocate stuff. Eventually, you guys follow and you're making those positive changes. So it's fabulous. I feel I'm blessed to have met some amazing people who are happy to, adopt the things that I advocate and make them a lifestyle.
Thanks, Bhakti. And I know I've referred you to many of my friends, family members, and even clients, and many more success stories that we have heard and experienced over the last few months that we've known each other. One thing I'd like to share before we get into the conversation in terms of what we have to discuss today is that, the last year and a half, the topic of health, well-being, immunity, resilience has been on the top of everyone's mind, not only in the personal space. It's been a part of our lives personally, but professionally, companies have realized the value and importance of health and well-being. They now see a direct connect between the health and well-being of their employees directly correlates to their energy levels. Their energy levels are high, means the productivity is good. If the productivity is good, it leads to a more profitable business, or at least a more resilient business to the difficult times we've had in the last year and a half. So, I just want to acknowledge the importance of the value that you're bringing, whilst initially may have been to individuals. I feel that you and the value that you have, the knowledge that you have, can actually impact a lot of corporates out there. And I'm hoping from the time we have today, and obviously being on LinkedIn, we can actually connect with some corporates who would appreciate knowing more about the importance of leading a happier and healthier lifestyle. So just wanted to set some context in that way as well. So Bhakti, one question I'd love to ask all my guests, because there's always something that drives each one of us, what gets us up in the morning, doing what we love, doing what we do each and every day to make a difference. And that question is, Bhakti, what is your why?
Yes. So, this is very passion driven for me. Growing up, I was encompassed with, a plethora of health information. My mom would always come up with healthy recipes. So as a family, I was constantly, we were just talking about health and fitness. We would move together, like we would go for runs, we would do badminton and stuff together. So it has really originated from back in the day. Like my parents have been my biggest role model, and that's why the passion to study nutrition. And then, of course, it's something that really interested me, and I went deeper. And I started Healthy High, honestly, just to contribute to a healthier community. And I've been so grateful that I'm able to add positive value, to my clients. And it's been wonderful so far.
Thank you so much for sharing that personal story to me. Businesses are out there, and sometimes we only see the business from the front. Okay, in your case, you're a nutritionist, you're consulting clients, and you're helping them get healthier, lose weight, feel better about themselves. But to know that that was inspired by something that you had from your experience with your mom and having a healthy sort of childhood, that inspired you to say, this is my way of giving back. This is my way of contributing to the community. And that's so inspiring. It just makes it even more compelling. Whilst it's a business, it's something which comes from deep within. and something that you sort of live on purpose. So thanks for sharing that, Bhakti.
Thank you.
In the last year and a half, when you look at Google and you look at the most searched words, things like immunity and gut health come up again and again and again. And I'd love to understand and hear from you. What are your perspectives when it comes to the word immunity, gut health? What's the correlation between these two words? And what advice would you give to people listening to this conversation we're having today? Is that how do we build our immunity? How do we have a clean gut? And what does this impact in terms of our daily lives?
Right. So immunity basically is your ability to fight infection. And 70% of your immune system resides in the gut. When we talk about gut, we're referring to the intestine. So the intestine has millions of bacteria. There are good bacteria and bad bacteria. So when the bad bacteria overpower the good ones, that's when we have gut issues like acidity, bloating, constipation. And that lowers your immune system as well. So you have to constantly nourish your gut with the right foods. That leads to basically fueling the good bacteria so that they grow in volumes, right? So how you could take care of it by hydrating well, getting enough sleep, and by eating a wide variety of vegetables, brightly colored vegetables and fruits, complex carbohydrates. Now, your immunity lowering or your good gut bacteria lowering foods, you must avoid them. Your refined oils, your processed foods like biscuits, cookies, cakes, sugars. These are the ones that we must avoid. So when you just give your body a lot of fiber from your vegetables and fruits, you're surely going to have a healthy, good gut.
Fantastic, fantastic. All about eating right, making better choices, and I think living in awareness. So thank you so much, Bhakti. Another topic, and this is something that it has always intrigued me, is, we have known of dietitians, but now we hear of nutritionists. And I really feel there's a distinction between the two. In fact, it is one of the reasons that engaged me to sort of partner with you in terms of being my nutritionist, because whenever I thought of a diet, I always felt it's what I can't do and can't do this, and this can't be done, and you've got to have a lot of restrictions. But a nutritionist was a different sort of philosophy and a different approach. What's your take on the distinction between a nutritionist and a dietitian?
Right. So the distinction actually is in the degree. But I don't like to be referred as a dietitian because, I help to rid people of a diet mentality. So I customize nutrition plans for them, keeping in mind their choices and preferences. I don't want it to be a diet that they hop on and hop off, because eventually, if they're with me for losing weight, then eventually when they go back to their ways, they're going to put it on back again. So, we customize a nutritional strategy for them, something that they really love doing, because only then can they adopt it as a lifestyle and it's sustainable in the long run. Eating well and exercising is basically like you're adding to your savings account. It's the weekly and the daily deposits that gives you good long-term results. So I really believe in sustainable long-term lifestyle changes, which that's how I work with my clients.
Fantastic. And I can endorse that from personal experience. And that's one of the things that when we first connected, you really wanted to understand what I enjoy eating. And during that entire journey of accountability, when we spoke from week to week, you wanted to ensure, have you enjoyed your meals? Are there any cravings? Are there anything that's missing? And that really made me feel comfortable, because it was really about, ensuring I'm enjoying what I'm eating. Because you knew the long-term goal is eventually I've got to be independent. I mean, yes, we were together 3-4 months in the journey of accountability to help me through that transformation. But today, now 3 months later, I'm on my own, and maintaining that lifestyle has come from that experience. And that's sort of what you sort of share with your client, that it's important to enjoy the journey because it's a lifestyle change, and eventually you're going to be doing this on your own. So you need to understand and appreciate that. So really resonated with what you share, and that's been a profound difference that I can endorse from my experience as well.
Thank
Another
you
topic that, my pleasure. Another topic that comes up is really about the distinction between the amount contribution that comes from eating, and then the contribution that comes from what what I mutually say is movement, as opposed to, gymming. I mean, everyone has a different form of movement, whatever that is that you enjoy. But, people say 70% is what you eat and 30% is movement. Any comments or thoughts on not necessarily the percentages, but just understanding
Yeah,
that food is
absolutely.
definitely play a more role? I mean, whether it's 70, it's 80, but what we're just trying to say is the
Right.
distinction of the value of the two. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, I do believe that it's 80% of your food that impacts your transformation. Simple reason being, like you said, putting percentages aside. Okay, healthy exerciser would say get in 4 times a week of cardio, say 4 times a week of maybe resistance training. That
Right.
gives the person 8 opportunities to contribute towards the healthier transformation, wherein you're eating, say, between 3 to 5 meals a day, depending on how you'd like to space your meals. So that gives you about 21 to 35 chances, right? Again, contributing to
Right.
fat burning and your body transformation. So that's why I feel that definitely both in synergy are very, very important. But nutrition, if you talk on percentages, yes, it is higher. I mean, it impacts the journey at a higher degree, most definitely, yes. So you could be like we all know that you cannot out exercise a bad diet. There are people gymming for hours, but they lack a nutritional strategy, so they're not able to achieve that transformation. Only when both are done in synergy is when you reach steadily and swiftly towards your goal.
Fantastic. No, I really appreciated what you shared. In fact, it triggered a thought in my mind that actually, we may be eating 3 to 5 meals a day, 7 days a week. How many times are you exercising? Once a day at most, whether it's
Right.
cardio or whether it's thing, and that's once a day versus 3 to 5 times a day when you are making a choice of what you are eating, whether it's a fruit, whether it's a dessert, whether it's rice, whether
Absolutely.
it's salad. So you have lots of choices. So that itself is very distinct in the sense that, whether it's 70 or 80%, but food definitely plays a key role in leading a healthier lifestyle. So that's great. Now, I had the pleasure of obviously losing weight in the lockdown when I was working from home, as you know, in Bombay. And so to me, I looked at it like I didn't have any temptations, of lunches and dinners, be it for business, be it for personal. And now that the world is opening up, Mumbai, India included, I see this as relatively more challenging. So I'm grateful that I've sort of got my critical journey at the lockdown. But I'd welcome your insights and the virtual lifestyle, and I say physical in the context now we're leading somewhat an active outdoor lifestyle where you have restaurants exposure to outside food exposure and not just the home meals. What could you share in this space?
So it's important to get in your basic nutrients. So what your macros. We focus on protein, carbohydrates, and fat, right? So you get a good balance on that. So when you get in sufficient amount of protein and fat at each meal, that's going to keep you fuller longer. What I've noticed with many of us, especially in India, is that our meals are more carb dominated, and that makes you
Right.
hungrier quicker. So especially busy executives, what happens is they end up skipping meals. So when that happens, you end up eating more at the next meal. That increases your appetite, and that keeps you in a vicious cycle of wanting more. So I would say that eat at fixed intervals as much as possible. Get in your daily veggie requirement in the form of smoothies, salads, stir fries, whatever you enjoy, and add in a lot of nuts and seeds. Hydrate really well, and yeah, you should be good. I mean, just stay away from processed food. That is very, very important, because that really impacts your health negatively. So when you're eating out, you need to choose right. Like, don't have any like I said, the carb heavy meals. Don't do too much rice at night. Don't do your sweet. So if you're going for a meal outside, you know don't choose a dessert and a heavy meal. Choose any one, right? So that it stays, your blood sugar levels stay more balanced, because that is going to impact your hunger at the next meal as well.
Right, right. Now, those seem some useful tips in sort of eating healthier and making better choices. If one was struggling to sort of lose weight, any tips or suggestions? If an executive today is struggling with weight loss, what would you advise him or her?
So, firstly, take care of your portion sizes and get in enough protein. That is very, very important. And get in enough fiber. Just one simple tip would be to get in half your plate of veggies at each meal. Target that, because that's going to fill you up beautifully and that's really going to nourish you. So that should help you to drop weight.
Fantastic. No, that sounds like a good hack. By having
Yeah.
50% of veggies on your plate, you are still gonna be full, but you're now full with a
The right
healthier
food.
option as opposed
Yes.
to a full plate of the other meats or other food you may be eating at that time. So that's
Right.
great. One thing I've observed in your stories and on your Insta profile is, not only about food, nutrition, eating right, but you also talk about what I call self-care activities. So I'd love to know, what are your thoughts on the value of self-care activities and any examples that you could give from either your personal experience or perhaps some clients who've already applied some of your suggestions in this space?
So, self-care, I believe, is very powerful. When you take care of yourself, you're able to give out the best of you to the world instead of the rest of you. So you need to nourish your body and your soul. So definitely through eating right, that's one of the key components of self-care, but also moving your body positively. When my philosophy, even with my clients, like I said, I advocate, exercise, but again, it has to be anything that you really love doing. Listen to music, take time for yourself, consider even physical activity, me time, and do everything with a smile. When you're doing it wholeheartedly and you're doing it with giving it meaning that I'm really doing this for myself, it's going to keep you positively motivated. Nothing should feel like a compulsion. Don't go after that weight on the scale. Do it because you love yourself. You have to love and respect your body. So that is something I really, really believe in. And meditation and affirmations, having a gratitude journal. I think these are fabulous things that you can do for yourself. It's like constantly reprogramming your mind to think positively and move ahead in a positive way.
Fantastic. There's some great tips and suggestions you shared there, and I really really resonate with the importance of taking care of oneself. And one thing that really clicked in what you shared with me is you said, a lot of people talk about the number on the scale. They're so attached to that number, like my weight is X, I've got to be Y. I mean, it's nice to have a measurement as a reference, but attachment to that can create a lot of mixed to negative emotions if you attach yourself to the number. It's about feeling good, feeling healthy, and doing it
Absolutely,
because
yes.
you want to have a better version of yourself. That's a bigger
Right.
driving factor than just the scale, just the number. How do you feel? And can you make yourself feel better and do things which give you that pleasure and enjoyment? So that's a great distinction. Thank you. So whilst we may be corporate professionals, and many of us are also parents, you have two boys, I have two girls. I'd love to have some tips as a parent. How can parents be great role models for their children, Bhakti?
Yeah. So kids, as we all know, they're like sponges. They just quickly absorb whatever they observe. So we as parents should firstly keep healthy options for them around. We need to eat healthier in front of them so that they want to do it. We can't just be eating junk ourselves and expect them to be eating healthy. That doesn't work. And also talk positively about foods when they choose healthier options. You really have to admire that about them. Give them those positive words of encouragement. And you must move your body and love your body and respect your body for them to be able to do that. So firstly, and the most important always, is just to keep healthier options around. Don't have junk lying around and don't eat that also in front of them. You should have that distinction between sometime foods and everyday foods. So definitely an occasional treat is fabulous. I believe in a moderation approach. So 80-20 balance is what I always talk about. So give them their fun foods, their treats, but 80% of it should be healthy. You can't stock cookies and chips and then expect them to not eat it. It's just not fair to the kids. So you have to always stock your pantry with healthier, more nourishing options for them.
Fantastic, Bhakti. And again, I can say from experience that, having gone through the experience myself when I was eating healthy, children are observant. As you said, they're sponges. So my two daughters kept seeing what I was eating and their curiosity rose because I was feeling happier, healthier, losing weight. And they could say that, wow, this because you're eating right. So there was a curiosity. It stimulated a conversation at the table. And slowly but surely, they started trying out some of the items that I was eating. And they changed their diet because, as I say, when they see the results, and they would like that. That is also because of great role modeling as a parent. So I can really resonate with that.
I really encourage that, especially when homemakers, get on a plan with me. And I always tell them, they're like, listen, I can't cook separate food for me. I said, but I don't want you to. Whatever you're eating is what you should be feeding the rest of the family as well. Gradually get them to, enjoy the taste of these because they're definitely healthier for everyone. And then, the mommies just feel so good about it that even my kids are eating healthier. And obviously, it's a wonderful feeling because every parent has the child's best interest at heart and taking care, because also that their taste buds are forming when they're younger, right? So offering these healthier options to them is going to have a long-term impact on their health and well-being.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it reminded me also when I was born and brought up in the UK, and for me, my parents would be like Sunday to Thursday was all about eating right, eating healthy. And Fridays and Saturday was the time to have a treat. So whether it was dessert or whether XYZ. That was the distinction that they made, that on weekdays, it was, time for eating healthy, and on weekends was the time to have a treat. So I guess that's also brings some kind of balance. And they also appreciate the treats on the weekend, because just like in school, on school days, you encourage your kids to sleep earlier because you want them to get up earlier and have a good night's rest to be alert for their school and studies. But on a weekend, you let them have a late night and they have that thrill and excitement. It's about balance, and it's about creating those values, as be it food, be it sleeping, be it the distinction between a weekday and a weekend. So no, thanks for sharing that, Bhakti. Again, on your stories, and something I believe in wholeheartedly, thanks to my dad, is the power of affirmations. Now, affirmations is something that, you're familiar with. We're both familiar with for different reasons. And I'd love to know your perspective on affirmations and how it's added value in your life.
Oh, I love affirmations. Like I play them every morning. That's how I start my morning. It just, like I said, reprograms your mind to think positively. Nothing negative can enter your head because subconsciously you're only thinking positively about everything. And it also builds self-esteem, confidence, and it's something that I also share with my clients. So meditations, affirmations, for a lot of people, when it comes to weight loss or eating right, there is a very deep emotional connect there. They're just not able to. So in that case, affirmations really helps them to move positively ahead, to get there, to tell themselves that yes, they can do it, they can eat right. I ask them to put sticky notes of these affirmations on their fridge, on their work desk. And I think it works wonderfully well. And touching upon this psychological aspect when it comes to eating right is very important. And that's what I really focus on, because I think there is too much information out there. Like, we all, end of the day, know kind of what to eat, but to get to doing it, touching on that emotional aspect and getting yourself to do it is very important. Affirmation helps to get you there with so much ease, because it constantly reinforces you and tells you that you can just do it.
Fantastic. No, thanks for sharing that, Bhakti. It reminded me of a quote which I always believe in, which says, what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. And, we all have so many, what we call either self-limiting beliefs or negative self-talk. the newspapers, which I haven't seen a newspaper, let alone read one in 20 years. One of the reasons of that was because the newspapers are filled with negative news. We don't have a newspaper in our home that's ever entered in the last, I think, 15 plus years. You turn on the TV, there's news. News is always surrounded by negativity, and people's tendency is to share negative news and share that. So when you're surrounded by that, your mindset is always being challenged. So something like affirmations, as opposed to I can't do this or that won't work, you're replacing that with I can do this, or I enjoy doing this, or this gives me. So by saying those repetitively, eventually the mind is then being strengthened to be more positive and more focused. And so I really resonate with affirmations, and thank my dad as well. He wrote a book called The Magical Book of Affirmations.
I read that and I love it.
He did that with Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. But affirmations, which started, we got to acknowledge, whenever I think affirmations, I say I must always acknowledge Louise Hay, who's known as the Queen of Affirmations, and a dear friend of mine, Rageshri, because she sings these affirmational songs, because she says, when you share it verbally, it in fact compounds the value of affirmations. But it's wonderful for those who apply it, and I think it's something that I and you both endorse. So something that those can consider. So as we come towards the sort of closure of our time together, just a few pointers that came to my mind were, virtual speaking engagements. So there are a lot of corporates out there who host what I call town halls, where they want to have a guest speaker come in for like an hour and just inspire, educate, and engage their audiences, at all levels. Is that something that you are open to, if corporates or SMEs would like to create a culture of healthy eating, but they obviously want someone from the outside with experience, with knowledge, to share that? Is that something you're open to, Bhakti?
Oh, yes, very excitedly. I'm more than open to it. I mean, it's increasing my reach, helping others make that positive difference in their lives. That's something I am really, really excited with. That's what drives me. So I'm very open to, having these talks at corporate events and trying to make that positive difference to a lot of more people.
Fantastic. Thank you. So for any corporates out there who are listening to this interview or have a chance to connect with ourselves, do follow Bhakti, and she'd be delighted to connect with you. Perhaps have a fireside chat with your head of HR, who's really trying to create the culture of healthy eating. And we all know the value of eating right. Your health and well-being has a direct correlation to your productivity, your sleep, and your achievements at work. So, if you're looking for a speaker for a fireside chat, then, do connect with myself or Bhakti, and we'd be happy to facilitate that. Excellent. Bhakti, what next? The big question for me is, Bhakti, you've been in business for now 18 months. Your business has been virtual. You started this business in, I believe, a year and a half ago, pretty much at the beginning of COVID. Most companies were talking of scaling down, closing, reinventing themselves, digitizing their business. They were sort of lost. But here was Bhakti Kapoor, solopreneur, starting Healthy High at the beginning of lockdown. And here we are 18 months later. What's next for Bhakti?
In deep gratitude for that, honestly. I mean, it's been so exciting, this journey. And like I said, I've met some wonderful people along the way. And Gautam, you've been so helpful throughout this journey. I mean, you are my business coach. So honestly, you should be telling me, where are we heading in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, that's great. You reframed the question back to me, but happy to respond. You see, at the end of the day, what I love is, in the beginning of our conversation today, you shared your why. And your why is to, in summary for me, because of your why, your goal is to create a legacy, to pay it forward, to impact as many people as you can, not only in India, but globally. Your business is virtual. So to me, is like, other than the 50 to 100 people that you're connecting with every month, who are your current clients, who you are, sort of taking care of and helping them in their journey of transformation, I think it's really about asking ourselves, which I'm sure we'll uncover in the weeks and months ahead, is really uncovering, how do we impact 1,000 people? How do we impact 10,000 people? How do we impact 100,000 people? Because, whether it's through writing a book, perhaps, because then that book is something, whether it's an ebook or a physical book that could reach more people, because knowledge is shared in many ways. It can be shared through a book, it can be shared through a podcast, it can be shared by you being a columnist in a leading magazine in India. These are the kind of virtual events running. My thing is there a way to digitize your business where we could have perhaps health tips or updates going to people wherever they are in the globe? So we're helping people be accountable and getting these friendly health reminders or health hacks. So I think really for me, it's going to be uncovered in the coming months as we ask ourselves these kind of questions, like else can we do? What can we do differently to add more value, impact more lives globally? And I think by asking this question to ourselves time and time again in the coming weeks and months ahead, I'm sure we'll find ways to digitize the business and provide, Bhakti Kapoor's knowledge, experience, passion to more and more people. So whilst it's a generic answer, I think it's really about how do we impact more lives globally by providing your knowledge through different mediums, not only in the consultancy sort of space. So that is my take on it for today on that question.
I love that, and I totally resonate with that.
Great. As we come to the close, I know I gifted you a copy of my book, Breaking Bread, about a year, well, actually 6 months or so back. And I'd love to know, Bhakti, not only, you read the book, but what does Breaking Bread mean to Bhakti Kapoor?
Lovely. So, through, when I'm consulting my clients, I also build deeper, more meaningful relationships with them on a personal level. I don't only stick to only food-related information. I also understand if they're going through any stresses, things which actually impact your well-being other than food. So I really work towards building strong relationships with them. And that honestly is breaking bread. That's what it means to me. Strengthening those meaningful relationships and impacting their lives positively, something that they will just hold on to with them in the years to come. That's I feel very fulfilling for me.
Fantastic. And I can say again from personal experience, that's how I felt in my journey with yourself as my nutritionist, in the sense it was, you understood the food elements, but you got to know me personally, professionally. You got to know my family, my hobbies, my passions. And that really put meaning into our relationship. It wasn't ever felt of a client and a nutritionist relationship. I really felt you put meaning into the conversations and we have a meaningful sort of relationship even beyond that journey together. So I definitely resonate with the philosophy that you have, and you really are living the breaking bread philosophy and adding meaning to the relationships you have with each of your clients. So for anyone out there looking to lead a happier and healthier lifestyle, you have my personal recommendation to partner with Bhakti Kapoor. If you really are looking for a transformation to lead a happier, healthier life, not only for yourself, your families, your co-workers, your employees, because health is our number one asset. My dad always said, money comes and goes in life, but health is something that is not an asset to be taken lightly. And sometimes we think we can leave this till a later time in our age. No, the time is now. So I encourage each of you to follow Bhakti, especially on Instagram, which is where she's most active in sharing her knowledge, her tips in a very inspirational manner. And if you'd like to have a transformation of your own, then please do connect with her and explore that journey. Bhakti, any closing comments you'd like to share with the viewers today?
So honestly, all I would say, anyone who's wanting to get healthier is just start, start small, stay consistent, take one step at a time, but please start, because really, investing in yourself is the best thing you can do.
Fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this show as my guest, Bhakti, and I look forward to staying closely in touch. Wishing everyone a very good evening and God bless. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Gautam, for having me. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Bhakti.